All right, here at Weapons Grade Detailing, we eat a lot of protein, and one of our favorite meals is steak. And just like with our profession, the secret to a really great steak is all in the details. So I am both going to show you how to make the best steak you've ever had that wasn't made on a grill, and I'm also going to show you how to use the best appliance that you already own in your house that you've probably never used. All right, so as you can see here, we have some beautiful, thick-cut New York strip steaks here in the cattle capital of the world. Most people would probably tell you the ribeye is their favorite cut. This happens to be mine. Use whatever you like. We're gonna keep this pretty simple, actually. We don't need a whole bunch of flavors to take away from the overall beauty of our steaks, but the first thing that we're gonna do is throw them in a Ziploc freezer bag and give them a little bath in just some simple soy sauce. Just enough soy to kind of like get them all cozy. Little cracked black pepper never hurt anything. And then get as much of the air out as you can to make it a little bit easier to coat the rest of the meat. And I know what you're thinking. No, you're not gonna marinate a steak in soy sauce. It's gonna taste like it came from a hibachi. I promise you, the way that we're doing this, it is not going to taste like, you know, Japanese hibachi. It's not gonna taste like Chinese food. It's still gonna taste like meaty, beefy deliciousness. So you can let this marinate for anywhere between a couple of hours and overnight. We're probably gonna do 4 to 6 hours. One of the keys here is you're gonna wanna keep your steaks dry, both in the pre-cooking process and the cooking process. You don't have to do it this way, but I like to use one of these like 2-part sheet pans that's got the regular side, or the regular pan, and then it's got the perforated pan. But now I want to put a little distance in between the two, and to do that you can just use a couple of globs of aluminum foil. Yeah, and I don't keep my pans quite as beautiful as they do on the Food Network. I ain't got that kind of budget around here. And then your top. And then you'll see another advantage of kind of raising the height of our setup here just a little bit. Go ahead and admit it. You don't even know how to turn it on, do you? Well, I will tell you, one of the coolest appliances you have in your house that you already own is your broiler. With mine, you just hit the button, it's high or low, and we'll let it go. Now that our steaks are marinated and they have come not quite to room temperature, but they've warmed up a little bit, we're gonna preheat our broiler to high. All right, now that our steaks have been marinating for about 6 hours, we're going to pull them out of the sauce and we're going to pat them dry on some paper towels. And this is one of the most important steps, and it's one of the steps that I think people either don't understand or don't get right a lot of the times. You know, you really want the fat and the proteins to do the heavy lifting on the flavor, and moisture on the exterior is just going to get in the way. All right, now that we got our steaks bone dry, we are going to just hit them with a little kosher salt. And a little black pepper. All right, so these are still pretty much refrigerator temperature, so we are going to let them rest on the cutting board for about 30 minutes. They don't have to be room temperature, but a little closer to room temperature is definitely the goal. While your oven is preheating, move one of your racks to the very top position. This will get a little smoky, so you might want to crack a door or window. All right, now that our steaks have come to not quite room temperature, but have warmed up a little bit out of the fridge, we have transferred them to our cookie sheet that have a little bit of a makeshift foil-made risers. And now we are going to pop them underneath the broiler. One of the reasons for the risers is it gets us a little closer to greatness by getting us closer to the coils. Time underneath the broiler depends on a few factors, but really for me it just kind of goes on sight. So we'll check on them in about 8 to 10 minutes and then we'll go from there. One of the reasons we cracked the door window is we are not actually going to close the oven all the way. Obviously, make sure your dogs and pets and children are secure at this time. You don't have to leave it completely open, but leave it propped about a third of the way like that. That way the oven doesn't detect that it's come to a certain temperature and the coils will stay red hot, which is exactly how we want them. So we get that beautiful sear and perfect in the middle. All right, we have a beautiful crust formed on our steaks. We're going to pull them out of the oven. And then this part is super critical. A good steak is not fast, you gotta be patient. We are now going to evacuate them from our cookie sheet. Just let them chill. Let them sit here for about 5 minutes. All right, our 5 minutes are up. The reason why we do this is actually just temperature regulation so that we can hit it with the heat sufficient to get a beautiful crust, but not to get the middle overdone. So now we are going to very carefully flip our meat over onto the pan. And hopefully not burn myself, so I'm going to get our friend Grogu.
Grogu got you.
Thanks, Boo. And back in. Oh yeah. Pull them out of the broiler. And into our hearts. So let's eat it, right? Right? No, not so fast. We have to let them rest. We have to let the juices recirculate. Calm down. It's gonna be fine. We've come this far, we can go another 10 minutes. Just walk away. Just walk away. Walking away. In the meantime, it would not be the worst thing in the world if we put a nice little pat of butter on each one of these beautiful steaks. But that's it. We don't need no sauce. We don't need no accoutrement. Maybe just rub it around a little bit. Moo. Would you believe me if I told you that the way you cut your steak actually has a lot to do with how tender it is? Now that our steaks have been resting on this cutting board for about 10 minutes, we are going to slice it thinly. The fancy term for this is on the bias, but really that just means against the grain. We are going to get the shortest length of the muscle fibers, which makes it easier to chew, which means tenderness. Nice medium, beautiful crust on the outside. Of course, if you like yours super rare, go for that. Now, do you trim the steak? Do you eat around the fat? Do you cut the fat off? Hell no. No, 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 no. We did not develop this crust so that you could be a wuss about the fat. You cut it against the bias and you eat it. I know what you're thinking. To do a steak properly, it's gotta be on the grill. It's gotta be charcoal. I need my propane and propane accessories. You got it? Don't knock it till you've tried it. I challenge you to make these steaks exactly the way that I showed you for your friends and family, and holler back at me and tell me that they didn't say it was the best steak that they ever had. Okay, another great question to ask is, what do I make to go along with the steak? What do I put on top of it? Nothing. You don't do anything to it. You don't eat anything with it. You sit down with your friends and family and you eat this delicious steak by itself. There is no reason to eat the food that your food eats with the food that you're eating. Side dishes. If you enjoyed this video that had next to nothing to do with detailing, but also detailing, you know the things. I'm not gonna be that guy. Guys, for real, don't sleep on your boiler. You can do some magic under there.